There'll be a golden ladder reaching down when the man comes around.
What's up, people? So I finally saw Logan, and it was pretty good. This is one solid movie, and was I a tad disappointed? Yeah, but I was mostly amazed by the end result. And the one word that came to my mind to describe the movie is hope. I'm hopeful because just now, maybe filmmakers, writers and studios in bold, that they realize they can create original and imaginative stories to surround these characters. You don't always need to copy every single thing from the comic book and put it in the fucking screen. And you also don't need to minimize the story just to trick fanboys into making hundreds of YouTube videos about the secret meaning of the title. Will Captain America die in Civil War? Fuck no, it's Disney. Death means even less than human right. Anyway, so let's talk about Logan, the last Wolverine movie with Hugh Jackman, and apparently it's also the last movie we will see Sir Patrick Stewart as Professor X.
We got ourselves an X-Men fan. Maybe a quarter of it happened, and not like this. In the real world, people die.
Logan.
I don't want to talk about it.
Logan. Just stop.
Be careful.
Right from the back, this movie does feel like an indie. And I say movie because I'm going to differentiate between story elements and filmmaking. The story feels like an indie story. Not a perfect indie story, it could have been slightly better, but a pretty good one. The filmmaking feels very much your typical blockbuster way of shooting a film. As in, it's not a shaky camera and fast cuts of the Russo brothers. It's more on the lines of every other comic book movie that doesn't have shaky camera. So it looks like the only real point I made was that it doesn't feel like a Russo brothers film. Anyway, the acting is fantastic. I wish I hadn't seen any of the trailers so I could have experienced some of the best moments in the theater. So if you haven't seen any of the trailers, don't. But it was great nonetheless. Hugh Jackman was amazing as Logan, but that's not really a surprise now, is it? Sir Patrick Stewart was also great. The one person that really impressed me the most was the girl. Daphne Keane, that's her name. She was fantastic, especially for a child actor. They normally suck, but not her. She was great. In fact, if I had to choose one of the actors for an Oscar in this film, it would probably be her. And it also helps if the characters are well written, which they are. Everyone has their moments, although it does feel a bit of a retread from previous movies because what's happening inside Logan's mind is essentially the same thing as the last Wolverine movie, but the movie around the character doesn't feel like shit, or fake for that matter. Another clever thing they managed to put in the story was the fact that in this world, X-Men comics do exist. So it was nice of them to reference the fact that mutants have made their mark into the pop culture of this universe. But fuck that shit, let's talk about the R rating. The blood, the gore, it's amazing. It's everything I needed, although another 2 hours wouldn't have hurt. Just saying. The music complemented the action sequences in a way that at first I wasn't really into, but then it started to grow on me, to the point where I'm 100% sure I'll be looking for them on YouTube tonight. So yeah, they were great and not forgettable, so you don't have to make a video essay about how shit the soundtrack is, because this one is good. I already mentioned the fact that Logan feels like a living thing. It doesn't feel vapid and dead, like the Wolverine. In Logan, you can actually experience human emotions, and that's always nice. But there's always a but. This movie isn't perfect, although that 8.9 on IMDb could make you think it is. Can you enjoy this movie and look past its flaws? Of course. 99.9% of you don't give a fuck about what makes a movie good. You just want to enjoy it, and there's nothing wrong with that. So let's talk about the things that this movie didn't do so good, things that you don't care about, but I do. It's not going to be boring, I promise. The most noticeable flaw is the CGI, not the blood and flesh wounds, but on the bigger, more expensive action sequences. It's pretty obvious that what's happening is happening with the help of computer-generated stuff. And that was a letdown because they could have used more practical effects or find a ways around those sequences. Fanboys won't care because Civil War was filled with that shit, and that was groundbreaking or something. But I care, and I hope that CG would have been more like in Fury Road, where you have no fucking clue what's CGI and what's practical. That was what I wanted, and honestly, it would have made the movie better, especially with the gritty, realistic aesthetic they went for. What also would have made this movie better is another look at the script. Like I said above, it's a good indie story, not great. I feel like the first act is the best one, where the pacing is perfect, it doesn't feel like they're rushing through stuff, and like some parts in the last two acts, but the entire movie is filled with exposition, and after doing a marathon on all of Zack Snyder's films, believe me when I say I have seen all types and sorts of exposition. even ones you probably weren't aware they existed. Here is just your typical background exposition, not something terrible, it was just lazy and necessary, and another rewrite on some of the lines of dialogue would have made it more organic and less like they were delivering information to us, the audience, and more like they were just having a normal conversation. Now let's talk about the filmmaking, because this is a film. Overall, it's great, but, again, there's a but, it's not 100% what they should have gone with, in my opinion. Instead of shot, reverse shot, and close-ups of the characters doing conversation scenes, they should have had wider frames and longer takes, like in Cache. I don't know how to read that movie, but you see the poster. It didn't need to be that realistic, it could have also been on the lines of what David Fincher and Denis Villeneuve do with their films, where the composition of the frames and camera work fit with the tone of the story you're telling. But hey, here it works. I can't say it doesn't, because it does. I can only say it could have been different, and in my opinion better. Moving on, some of the story elements were a bit hard for me to use my suspension of disbelief, like the fact that Logan had just finished charging a phone in order to see a video on it, but it still just had 4% of the power. That was pretty lazy of them, and I know some people will call this a nitpick, but when you could have simply not show the percentage of the power or put the video in full screen, let's just say there were ways around fixing that. And also, this is not a spoiler, don't worry, there was a character that left a video for Logan, and by the timeline, she only had one night to make that video. In this video, she used footage she already had taken and added narration, kinda like what I do when I'm doing a video. The thing is that she only had one night to do the video in a motel room with no computer in sight. I guess the computer could have been hidden somewhere, but it was hard for me to buy that scene would have happened exactly like they presented it to us. It would have made more sense if Logan had just found the video with unedited footage and without narration. That way, it would have been more natural and easy to believe in. And just to wrap up this review, I really like this movie. It makes me hopeful for the future of the genre, but since DC is trying to kill the genre, I guess this just evens everything out. Oh, and another thing, there's this antagonist, not going to say which one. How he dies was the corniest, cheesiest, and comic booky thing that happened in this entire film. It was so stupid. I didn't like it. Anyway, I'm giving Logan a 7 out of 10. Logan was everything the Wolverine wasn't. It was visceral, full of life, full of action, amazing bloody action, filled with characters that feel real, and ones that you can care about and love. And I can't wait to see it again. Anyway, thanks for watching, hope you like it, comment below, down below, leave a like for that YouTube algorithm, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!